Hello, Trey Casel here. I'm the founder of ProcessKit, and in this three-part video series, I'm going to walk you through how to build a hiring process and set it up to track applicants who are going through that hiring process for your company. Of course, we're going to use ProcessKit to build out all of this, and in part one, we're going to set up a board in ProcessKit. That will be the place where you track all of your applicants as they progress from each stage in your hiring process. Then in part two, we'll build out your actual hiring process or the standard operating procedure. And of course, we'll build in some automations to that. And then in part three, we will focus on your intake form, where new applicants are applying for a position at your company and how to map that form into ProcessKit and all the custom fields and automate things from there. By the way, after I finish building all of this, I will make this entire process and the board and all the custom fields and the configurations, I'll make all of that available as a free importable template that you can bring into your ProcessKit account. You'll see the link to get that template here on this page right below this video. All right, let's dive into part one. Now first, let's run through the finished product of what you're going to be able to do once this is all set up and ready to run. And then we'll go back and unpack everything, and I'll show you exactly how to build what I'm about to show you. So I've got this applicants board in ProcessKit. It's a Kanban view. There are a few applicants that we've already processed already, but I'm going to show you how we will go about processing a new applicant. I've got this job application form on my website. I happen to be using Gravity Forms, but you'll be able to use any forms tool that you want, or you can even use ProcessKit's form builder to build this out. But I want to show you an example that's really flexible, and I'll show you later in the third video how to connect this using Zapier. So here's our job application form. Let's fill one out. All right, so I've filled in all the fields in my job application form, and I'm going to click Submit on the form. We've got the success message. Now let's go over to ProcessKit and see what just happened. We'll refresh our applicants board, and there it is. Here is our new applicant that just filled out our application. Let's pull this open, and the first step in our process. Now there will be more steps, but they're currently hidden. They will reveal themselves as we move forward in our process. We need to first review their application. So we're going to pull this open, and look at that. We've got this person's application data all right here in front of us, right here inside the first task. Nice and easy. And so we review it, and then we decide, should this person be added to our shortlist? Should we save them or archive them? Let's decide to save them. We'll click Update. And so now we're able to complete this first task. And so now the second task just revealed itself. Here we need to decide whether we should invite the person to the interview. So we might have saved a few different people to our shortlist. We only want to invite the very best candidates to interviews. So we will review their information once more. It automatically copied all of their application answers right into this task once again. And yes, we do want to invite them to the interview. So let's make that selection here, and then we'll update. Now we'll complete this task. All right, so now we're up to the third step, which is to send the interview invitation. And by the way, I'm just going to first take a peek back at our applicants board, and all of a sudden you'll see that this person has been moved from incoming over to saved. And as we move through our hiring process, our applicant will automatically move itself along in our Kanban view. We don't even need to do that. All that automation is built into our process. All right, let's continue on. So we're at the third step. We're going to send the invitation email. If we pull this open, we have our email template all written out for us, and it even pulled in the applicant's first name dynamically. So for every new applicant, it'll automatically fill that in. And we've also included the link to my Calendly where the applicants can book their job interview. Now you could send this email off straight from ProcessKit. We're just going to consider that we've copied it into our other email tool and send it off that way. Either way, once you're done with that, you can check this off. So now that we've completed that step, now it's waiting for them to book their interview in Calendly. So let's simulate that. I opened up the Calendly link, just like our applicant would click from our email, and let's book a call. And I'm going to use the same email address of the application form, and we'll just schedule that event. So our applicant has just booked their job interview. Let's go back into ProcessKit, and we'll refresh the page. And look at that. Interview booked has automatically checked itself off. That's thanks to our Zapier integration. And the next step has been automatically revealed for us. The next step, of course, is to run the actual interview and store some notes. Let's take a peek back at our applicants board just to see where we're at with this applicant. Oh, they're already up to the interview booked step. And that happened, once again, automatically. They're moving right along in our hiring process. So now that we're going to do our interview, we can open this up. And while we're talking to the applicant, we can store some notes about this interview. And by the way, those notes, along with all the applicant's details, they've been saved in the Details tab. We've got all their information, plus all those notes have been passed along right into here. Let's go back to our task list. And after interviewing them, that's when we would decide, should we offer them the job or save them for later? Let's actually make the job offer. We'll click Update, and we'll complete that step. And so now we can send off the job offer. If we decided to just save them for later, then a different step to move them to our Save for Later list would appear. So here is our job offer email template. Again, it's going to automatically pull in their first name. We could send this off straight from ProcessKit, or we can copy it into our other email tool and send it off that way. But we can check that off, and we have sent them the job offer. And now let's go back to our applicants board one last time. And now these are the two people now that we have offered jobs to, and we've got some people sitting here saving for the next time we're hiring. So as you can see, everything there was seamlessly managed thanks to our process. A lot of it was automated using Zapier and the form builder and Calendly. We're going to get into how to build all of that step by step in the videos ahead. But now in this first video, let's start by building out this board. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is create a board where we will track the applicants that are going through our hiring process. So I'll create the new board and we'll call it Applicants. And a single item or a single project that flows through this board would be an applicant. And let's give this board an icon that all of the applicants get this icon as well. And for this board and all of the projects within it, or all of the applicants within it, we want to make it members only, because we don't want everybody in our company to be able to see it, especially if the people who we end up hiring, would later be invited into our ProcessKit account. We don't necessarily want them to see all of our applicants and maybe the internal notes that we've created about each applicant. So let's make this just members only so that the managers and the people in charge of the hiring process, only they will see it. Okay, so now here we are in our new applicants board. And as you can see, when we start creating applicants, each one is called an applicant. Since I created this board, I am currently the only member in it, meaning I will be the only member who is able to see the projects that we create within this board later on. So we're looking at the Kanban view. You can see it defaults to having 3 lists. Let's customize these lists to match the different phases that we'll want to bring an applicant through. Let's actually leave this as incoming. So new applications will drop into this list. And then the second list, let's call it saved. So when we like an application, we will move it to the saved list. And then in the third list here, we will call this invited to interview. So after we have gone through our short list of applicants, we will select a few to invite to an interview. Let's add a fourth list now, and we'll call this interview booked. I like to make these lists like definitive actions that have been completed. So we have sent the invite to these people, and then these people are the ones who actually ended up booking their interview. And we will create another list now. Let's call this interview complete. We will add just a couple more. After interview complete, let's have a list offered job, and then one more list at the very end. We will call it saved for later. So applicants would end up either being archived, or we would offer one or several of them an actual job, or some of them, might be good, but we're not going to hire right now, and we'll just keep them in the saved for later list. All right. Now that we've got our Kanban boards all set up the way that we'll need it, let's create some fields. So I'm actually going to back out to boards, and this is where we create our field templates. These are custom fields that will be shown on each individual applicant that we create. So let's start by creating our first field. We're going to create a handful of these. We're going to want to save the applicant's name. And we'll want to save their email. This will be an email field. Save their location. That can just be a text input as well. Then we'll do a website if we're asking for the person's website or portfolio or something like that. We can make this a website URL field so that it's clickable. And we will create a resume link. This too would be a website URL because it will point to a file that's located somewhere else. Now let's create a field called background. This is kind of like their background information. They'll type this into a free-form field, so we'll use the rich text field type. And finally, let's create a field called source. That will tell us where the applicant came from, like where they found the job posting. It'll just be a text input. Let's create that. All right, so now that I've created my field templates, let's go back to our boards. We'll go to our applicants board, and we'll go to the fields tab on this applicants board. And here we will preload all of those fields so that they are automatically loaded. We'll start with the name, email, location, website, background, resume link, and we'll put source at the bottom. And if we want to reorder these, we can, but that looks pretty good. All right, now just to show you what we've built so far, of course, we haven't yet gotten up to our building the process, but just to show you how this board will work, let's go ahead and create a new applicant. Let's call it, and we'll create that. Now, we have no tasks in this project because we haven't built out our process yet. We're going to do that in the next video, but I just wanted to show you the details tab because that is where all of those custom fields automatically display. Now in the third video, when we get up to setting up our intake form, we will map that intake form and all those fields to these fields so that the project automatically gets created and these fields automatically get populated. But for now, we're going to need to do something about this task list. Of course, you could always create a manual task list, but this is ProcessKit. We're all about automation here. We want to work off of a template so that it's repeatable and reusable. So we will go back into our applicants board. And of course, you could see the first applicant that we created that would get moved along as we move along. For now, I'm just going to delete this because it was just an example. And now in the next video, we're going to go into this processes tab on our applicants board and actually build out our hiring process.